Hello everybody, welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here with Chapter 2, the finale of Unhappily Ever After. This is a mashup between Disney and Mad Max. I know it sounds really weird, and it is really weird, but it worked the first time around, so fingers crossed it's going to work again for the second half. I'm very excited to get back to this game. We are using the Expedition engine, a version that was made to run something called Acid Rain. I don't know if this will show up or not. It looks like it. Good. This system was put together by myself based on a couple of other games that I like, namely Lizards and Feelings. No, it's called Lasers and Feelings. So if you like this style of game and you want something even more simple, then go check that out. But tonight is titled Through the Woods. And like I said, I'm very excited to get back to this. Very amped. So before we do, I'm going to warn you, because even though this has its roots in Disney's lore and things of that nature, this game is not for children. I'll say it again, this game is not, underlined, for children. These are not children, I don't think. And, there's going to be mature language, there's going to be mature subject matter, and some horrifying things might happen to some of your favorite cartoon characters. So, don't watch this game if that kind of stuff bothers you. On that note as well, artistic license is taken in this game. There are characters who are combined, there are characters who are entirely changed, and I don't want to be blamed for you not liking that. So if that's the kind of thing that bothers you, exit stage left. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to my players so that they can introduce themselves. So they can introduce themselves. They can say hello to you if they'd like, and plug anything that they want to. So first up, we're going to start with DJ.
Hi everyone, I'm DJ. I have my channel is The Griffin's Nest. I'm hoping before too long to start running some games and doing some other content. We'll see how that goes. I'm hopefully getting a new computer, so things will hopefully run a little better. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this again. I'm playing Hercules, and I loved the last session and can't wait to see what happens.
Absolutely, man. This has been a very pleasant surprise so far, how well this has gone. So I'm excited to see how the second half is going to unfold here. All right. Next up, we have Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen. I have a channel called Myth and Gears. Currently, it's not doing too much right now, but that's because we just finished up a campaign, and I haven't started a new one or anything yet. But tonight I get to play Mary Poppins, and I'm pretty excited about jumping back into that role. And it's going to be a lot of bloody fun, I tell you. So.
Can't believe Mary Poppins just said bloody on my channel. I'm both really excited and crushed as a human being. Excellent. Next up, we have Mason.
I'm Mason. I'm playing as Mushu today.
Short and sweet. Excellent. Love it, Mason. Next up, we have the man in the silly hat, Connor.
Hello, I'm Connor. This hat is very silly because I got it at a Pokemon store. I'm going to be playing Beast tonight, and if things start getting spotty for me, there's a storm outside.
Good to know. Good to know. Hopefully you weather it well, sir. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Johnson, aka CJ. You can find me on YouTube at CJ's Kitchen, which is not a gaming channel, it's a cooking channel. And I am playing Merida tonight, and I am looking forward to seeing what kind of shenanigans we get into tonight.
Me too. Okay, everybody is saying that my volume is low. So I don't know why that might be. Is this any better? For anybody? Do you guys here in the Zoom call hear me at a low volume?
In Zoom, yeah, we can hear you pretty well.
What's going on? I think I can just adjust my volume independently. Let me do that real quick. Maybe. Let's see. Hold, please. Technical difficulties.
Tamiko's trying to tell you to get real intimate with your mic. That might work.
Hello, Tamiko. Welcome to our game. Hold on to your pearls, Buttercup. This sucks. I don't think there's a way to adjust that in Zoom any higher. Hang on just 1 second. Let me test something. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is this any better? Can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. Yes, you can hear me?
I hear you.
Louder? Is it good?
It's
Chad's
okay.
I can hear you fine. I think Chad is saying that it might be your fan is getting picked up, so it's cutting down the gain on your sound.
Yeah, my laptop fan's a moaning Myrtle. Alright, let's see. Whoop. Okay. Hopefully this is better. Everybody in the chat, just let us know. We're gonna screw it. We're gonna do it live. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that they want to voice before we get started? No? Cool. Then let us start. Life in the fringes was tough. Trying to cobble together what you could find into some semblance of what things looked like before. It never did, of course. But those that have survived kept trying anyways. Life in the Wasteland, however, was even more brutal still. The only things to be found in the in-between were the sands made from what once was. Some things survived, but not much. And whatever you could find out there, your life was often the price demanded for it. An ocean of sand with towering dunes forming wave-like contours in the shimmering heat rising up in the place of sea spray. This desert expanse is a veritable nothingness until we spy a feathered ribbon of dust kicked high into the air. As it approaches, we once more see the convoy of our heroes cutting across this desolate void. Once more, please, tell us who we see and describe what you have been doing after jumping the ravine bridge. This is where you guys play.
Well, you see a black Mustang in the rear at the flank, as it were. It's kind of a black and gray. The license plate reads Angus, and at its wheel is a fiery redhead. Curls blowing in the wind, windows down, pedal to the metal, making their way towards Paris.
In a vehicle that seems to be cobbled together bits and pieces that seem to be able to bend and move at their own volition, you see a very large creature sitting inside of this vehicle's cabin, just trying to keep pace with the rest of the crew around him, keeping an ample watch around everyone and making sure his door is ready to be opened for him to give a signal if there ever arises a need.
You see this chariot pulled by a motor, much like a lawnmower motor, and you see Hercules pulling on the reins and steering this, and jumping dunes when he has to, and drifting a little bit in the sand to try to make sure he stays in formation with everyone else.
In front of everyone, you would see this rusty dragon. It's controlled by a little 2-foot tall dragon who's now wearing a Mongolian helmet.
And flying above them in a gyrocopter, which is a little worse for wear, every once in a while it'll kind of drop a couple of feet before it finds its way back up again, is a woman in a very clean and pressed gown, heels together, hat sitting perfectly atop of her head, nicely coiffed. How does she stay clean? Who knows? But that is she. And she's out there surveying the way ahead as those beneath her follow along behind.
These 5 vehicles tear their way across these sands. The only thing that remains of much of what used to be here. Ahead, finally, you spy the next destination along your path towards Paris. You know that this is a place called the Woods. Quit it. This is a place called the Woods, where a bustling metropolis once had stood. Now only its carcass remains. The clustered bones of its ruined skyscrapers, stripped clean, almost resembled a forest. And the sands that flow between and beneath its roots are your only way forward. How would you like to approach?
How wide are the spaces between the stripped buildings?
So much like a busy downtown, I would say 4 lanes across, probably. So I don't know what that works out to be, but it's ample room for your vehicles and stuff. There is a lot of debris and things like that you'll have to kind of be maneuvering between, but it's certainly wide enough for your vehicles.
As we approach the thing, I'm going to tuck in my wings on my dragon.
Mary will actually ascend somewhat so that she can see the lay of the land a little bit more as we're flying through, to get a little bit more heads up if something's coming from the streets around us or anything. So she may be out of earshot at this point, but at least she'll be able to see.
Yeah, and you could definitely get quite a bit of height so that you can see, I don't know, maybe half a dozen or so blocks kind of in any other direction before your vision just kind of gets obscured enough that it's difficult to really see beyond that, what remains of the buildings, the rubble, the sand that's kind of blowing around. You can see a pretty good area kind of around your convoy, but it's hard to get high enough to see the entirety of the city.
Beast is going to open up the car door and he's going to gesture for Mushu to come back so that he can take the front spot, since his vehicle is much more acclimated to having the debris to climb around on.
I'll fall back then.
You guys can also see, just from where you are, that a lot of these buildings are... The sand has blown in here probably to the second story, almost. Probably higher in some places. And some of these dunes and kind of embankments of sand go through some of these buildings. And there's not a pane of glass that's still intact anywhere in sight. So you know that there's ways you could probably enter one building on this side and exit right out of the side of the building, on the other. So, other than Mary ascending, what's the plan of approach?
I think Beast's vehicle is going to be like half a block in front of the rest of them, just as like a small scouting part.
How brittle do the buildings look?
Any glass that you see, like I said, is broken, so it doesn't look like it would take much to go through it at all. There are still chunks of concrete here and there, certainly things that are still that much intact, but most of it is broken down to the rebar at this point.
Merito back off the gas a little to give time for the other vehicles, to not be too close on them in case something changes suddenly. But she's going to continue to kind of be at the rear because her harpoon gun is just better there. So.
Okay. So are you guys sticking to like a less beaten path, like trying to cut in between buildings and smaller alleyways and things of that nature? Or are you looking for, a wide enough street that you can kind of cut through fast and fairly straightforward? How do you want to do this?
Our end goal is past this, right?
Yes, this is not Paris. Paris is
Yeah.
beyond this city.
I'm almost thinking that we should probably take the most direct route until we can't anymore, or it becomes too dangerous, and then do the cat and mouse thing if we have to.
What do we know about who inhabits this location?
I'm so glad you asked. Everybody, please roll a knowledge.
Did Beast pass through here on his way to
Very,
Snow's
very
place?
likely. Yeah, very likely. So you can roll. You can have 2 dice. It'll basically just give you advantage on. No?
Success.
Okay, cool.
What about Mary Poppins being a governess and having to teach all sorts of things to her charges? Would she have knowledge of this area?
I don't know about since the fall.
Okay.
I don't know if that would necessarily apply. I don't think there's been a lot written since that happened.
1 success then.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Mara, do record your wish upon a star point, please. So that is a success from Mushu, Mary Poppins, and Hercules. Okay. So the 3 of you know, I'll leave it up to you how, but you know that the woods is the hunting ground for a person known as the Huntsman. This person was put under a similar curse to Beast and to Mordu, the demon bear. He is no longer human. That's what you know.
We do not want to tarry here. Keep your eyes open.
Okay. That's a good question. How fast are you going?
Because of the debris, I'm tempted to say slower, so that the people with cars that aren't as flexible as mine or are in a gyrocopter can get through here better without messing up everything.
Okay. So sounds like slow and steady. Okay. Mary Poppins is your eyes in the skies, and the other 4 of you begin to snake your way, or dragon your way, through the debris field of the woods. At first, the rubble makes it difficult to find a great path through, but you're managing it. And you notice as you start to move deeper and deeper into the city, you find more and more smashed, sliced, burned out hulls of vehicles littering this place. Some paths are dead ends. Others seem almost to lead you in circles. And just about the time that you start to think that this labyrinthine layout might be by design, you start to notice the bones and the skulls that have been placed on display here.
Can I do a knowledge roll to find a way out? Like the most direct way out? even if it involves going through a building?
Yes. Yeah. This is going to be... I think this is a single die.
Success.
Excellent. So, Mushu, you can see a way that you're fairly certain will lead you past the majority of this debris and things that seem to be kind of turning you guys around. And you begin heading in that direction. You guys are making your way through this stuff, and suddenly, Mary, several floors up from where the other four are driving on the sand, you see a dark figure leap from one skyscraper to the other. Again, clearing 30, 40 feet of distance between these two buildings with ease.
She would, at this point, kind of descend so that she could talk to, or at least yell to the ones below, and warn them that she's seen probably the huntsman. That's what she's assuming the figure was. So be wary, and that he's above them right now.
Just as you've given this warning, Mary, I need you to roll a d6, please.
Oh no. I rolled a 2.
A 2. Okay. You have dropped down to this height, this altitude, to be able to yell at them. And just about the time that you have given them this warning, you notice another shadow. But this one is not the shadow of a figure. As you look up, you see there are steel I-beams falling from the sky above you, directly towards your gyrocopter. I need you, please, to tell me how you're going to avoid these, and roll 2 dice to do so.
I think we fall back into that that demeanor that she's always had, her gracefulness in the flying, and we see her trying her best with this gyrocopter to almost like dance amongst these beams that are falling. So we have her going almost sideways at times and maneuvering such that hopefully she doesn't get hit. That is 1 success.
So that is a success to avoid these, but with a cost. So I think one of them is going to potentially cause some... Okay, so the pitch that you have to basically like jerk the wheel of this gyrocopter to in order to avoid these starts messing with its ability to keep you aloft, and you're going to start dropping quickly. Okay. The rest of you, just feet behind Merida's Mustang, hear this tremendous noise as a dozen of these sections of broken or, severed I-beam come clang, 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 down into a pile just where you have passed through.
Do we see Mary's gyrocopter wheeling through the air downwards?
Yeah, I imagine it's kind of that... You can hear the engine pitching up and trying to spin faster.
And then it coughs and sputters.
Some black smoke.
Uh,
Like a chimney sweep.
as the cursed carriage is driving along, the wheels are going to open like it did before to catch itself, to stop itself quickly. And then Beast is going to have it pull back and launch itself up towards Mary's gyrocopter in an attempt to catch it.
Okay. So that sounds fairly graceful, or maybe speed?
Let's go for speed.
Speed, okay. So, certainly not prepared to do this, and I don't know if this is something that the Beast has ever had his carriage do before, so I think this is probably going to be a single die.
He's had it jump, he hasn't had it catch anything.
Right. So yeah, let's do this with one.
That is a success.
Excellent. Okay. So you leap upwards and almost have to turn yourself upside down to grab a hold and avoid the spinning, rotors on the top. And the carriage kind of grabs a hold of her gyrocopter and manages to turn its two legs that are closest to the ground kind of back, right side up or whatever. And it lands holding on to her gyrocopter, keeping it from hitting the ground, but the rotors are like sink, 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 like cutting this ditch through the sand dune that's kind of nearby. Please roll your vehicle's health die, Beast. 5? Okay, cool. So you have sustained very minor damage. It's not going to affect the way that your vehicle runs whatsoever. Mary, let's roll yours.
All right. Oh, I rolled a 6. Yay.
Perfect. Yep. The sand wasn't very packed even, so the rotor's not even dulled. So it's fit for flying as well. Okay. The 5 of you are being hunted. You're going to have to find your way out of this maze. This maze is booby-trapped. So, let's go ahead and roll initiative. Figure out how many of you are going to go... I'm sorry. So, you're going to just roll a d10. Those of you who beat the woodsman, the huntsman, are going to go before. Those of you who do not beat him will go after.
9.
Okay. So, he's going to go first. But, on your turn... Excuse me. Here's how this is going to work. Each of you is going to have a full turn. You're going to be able to do whatever it is that you would like to try to do to get out of here. However, in addition to that, you are also going to roll 2 dice. And that's going to basically constitute your locomotion of trying to get out of here, the movement that you're taking, and what threat might occur. Okay? So, go ahead and choose or find a stat that you like to kind of lean on as your default, just in case you can't think of anything in the moment, for how to handle your vehicle through this mess. And then we will get to that once we actually start rolling dice. You guys will figure out what's going on soon. For Mary, if you are airborne, you are also going to have to roll a d6. Any of you that are traveling by land are going to need to roll a d8. Okay. So, you all hear a noise. And Beast, just as you have landed safely with Mary's gyrocopter in your grasps. You hear the sounds of a chain, kind of like the slack being taken out of it. And from out of the recesses of a partially crumbled skyscraper swings on this chain a monster of a creature. A werewolf. Easily a times and a half the size of Beast. He swings downward, and as he does so, he's going to rake his claws across your vehicle, Beast. So, you are caught somewhat unawares, but how are you going to try to avoid this? Are you going to try to avoid this?
I don't think he's going to try to avoid it, because if he does, there's a chance it could hit Mary's vehicle, which would just put it completely out of commission.
Very fair. In that case, you are facing a threat level of 3. So you're going to have to roll your vehicle die 3 times. If after either any of the rolls you get a 1 or a 2, you'll have to change die out. Fell on the floor. It's gone forever.
No, give me a moment. I've misplaced my dice bag.
Ah! You didn't grab dice. Would you like for me to roll it for you?
Yeah, it's down to a D6, and I just rolled the second one.
Oh, wait, okay, so it was a D8, dropped to a D6 on your second roll?
Yes.
Okay, so now you got one more roll as a D6. That is a 2. So your vehicle is now a D4 currently. This werewolf, swings down and rakes his claws across the top of your carriage. And Beast, you drop to the floorboard inside as the top of this thing rips completely off. You now have a convertible. Wood splinters everywhere, dotting the sand nearby, and this creature continues to swing up and between 2 other buildings. Then you see the chain fall limp. It is now all of your turns, whatever order you wish.
Well, if nobody else wants to jump in, Merida is going to try to dart her car into one of those buildings that you said looked like we could drive through, and try to break up the party a little bit so that just kind of separate, so she might be able to get an angle for a good shot, or at least just cause a distraction, make it a little bit harder for us to be a target, a big target.
Excellent. Okay, so Mirta kind of peels off down a slightly narrower road, possibly, like you said, even going through a building nearby. Okay, so roll me, if you would please, a D8.
Okay. That is a 2.
A 2. Okay. And then if you would, let me know what the result of your 2 dice are. Whatever stat that you're going to be rolling to handle.
Okay. So she's operating on pure instinct right now from years of careening through the woods on Angus's back. So we have a 1 and a 10. Ooh,
It's hard to get more opposed than that.
that's bad.
You deal in extremes, I see.
Apparently.
So, you were using instinct?
Yes, and that's an 8.
Okay, so the 1 is a success. The 10 is a fail.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
this is what's going to happen. 1 success equals you getting the chance to try to roll to avoid the trap. So,
Okay.
you are going to have to avoid. Okay. So you peel off through this building and you kind of spin around in this lobby. You can see an escalator kind of coming up out of the sand in the path that you had initially chosen. So you kind of fishtail a bit, come up this dune, and are about to head out between this broken pane of glass. And just as you kind of come back out of the building and level off street, you hear a sound of concrete falling against concrete. And as you turn and look down the street, there's another one of those chains, only this one is much bigger. And at the end of it is an enormous steel wrecking ball that is swinging down at your car. So, you got 1 success. How are you going to try to avoid this?
So Merida's she's gonna punch it, Margaret. She's gonna hit that hit that gas. Some people might remember that reference. Punch that gas, and she's gonna try to to be too quick for this thing to get her. And she's gonna try to dart, in a direction that looks like it's out of its path.
All right. Speed it is.
Speed.
Okay.
That's my girl. And we have an 8.
What is your speed?
2.
Okay. Excellent. So, you punch it, and you manage to scrape by this thing. However, this thing is a threat level of 4. How many dice did you roll on that, by the way? Just 1?
I'm sorry? 1.
How many dice did you... Just 1?
Yeah.
Let me see. Make sure that that's... Okay. Avoid the trap. Okay. So speed is definitely something that would Merida would be used to. So you should have had a second die. You're not prepared, but you should have a second die.
And that's a 7.
So 2 successes. Excellent. So this threat level 4 wrecking ball is going to be dropped to a threat level of 2. That does mean, however, that you still need to roll your vehicle usage die twice.
Okay. And mine is a D8, so okay. And I forget what our target is. I got a 4.
Just don't get a 1 or 2.
Right.
And a 3. Yes.
Okay. So you gun
Angus
it.
lives.
And this thing comes down and like smashes like the tail light or something, but you can hear the steel kind of across the back of your tailgate, the fastback, but you manage to have punched it just enough to completely avoid the tremendous amount of damage that this thing would have just done to your car.
That was a close one, Angus.
All right. Who's next?
I'm just going to try and plow straight through whatever main road I saw to get to the exit.
Okay. So it sounds like maybe control? maintaining the path that you initially laid out under the stress. How does that sound? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So 2 dice.
Success and a wish upon a star.
Excellent. Okay, so make sure to record the point, and you get 1 success with a consequence, which is okay. So roll me a d8, please.
4.
4. Okay. Your dragon is snaking its way through as fast as he can. You're kind of sticking to this path, and you get through this kind of tight space. You're not even sure all the rest of the vehicles necessarily would have been able to make it. And as you do so, you start hearing like ticking, ticking, and you realize that there are spring-loaded explosives that are jumping from hidden piles of rubble and the insides of these burned out cars as you're driving past. You got a success. That means you're going to have a chance to avoid this. 2 dice to try to escape these landmines.
Can I use force to just turn the wings properly so that it doesn't hit anything vital?
Sure. Sounds great.
Two success.
2 successes. Okay. It was a threat level of 2. So you have negated the fire and the concussive force of these explosions as you manage to come out unscathed on the other side. Who's next?
I am going to put Mary back into the air.
Okay. Does that sound like... Is that like a forceful thing?
Beast is just going to have the cursed carriage throw her as far down the way Mushu went as possible.
Perfect. I love it. That sounds pretty forceful. I don't know what you're
Yep.
thinking, but okay. Excellent. So let's roll those 2 dice.
I have a force of 9, but that's still only 1 pass.
Okay. So roll me a d8.
Six.
Okay. Okay. You kind of get this running head start, and you kind of build up a little bit of centrifugal force, kind of spinning, and release Mary's gyrocopter. And as you do so, you hear this, and you feel the pull of an enormous junkyard electromagnet. So, 2 dice. How are you going to attempt to avoid this?
As it starts to pull the cursed carriage off of the ground, Beast is going to have the cursed carriage move closer to a building and is going to grab onto it.
Grab onto...
The building.
Oh, okay. Just to try to anchor itself?
Yep.
Okay. Sure. So that still sounds like force?
Yep.
Kind of fighting against the strength of this electromagnet?
Is that still 2 dice?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
2 successes.
Excellent. Okay. So, the junkyard magnet is a threat level of 3. This thing is incredibly strong. So, that means you will have to roll your vehicle usage die 1 time. It is at a d4. Got a 50-50 shot. Oh. Ooh. Okay. Beast. The cursed carriage grabs a hold of a column, wraps its like 4 poster or post-like legs kind of around this concrete column and holds on as this magnet is just pulling and pulling and pulling. One of his legs snaps, and the column kind of like crunches down under the weight and then pulls off, breaking the rebar inside, and you fly towards this electromagnet. Are you going to try to stay with your car, or are you bailing?
Beast is going to dive out.
Okay. Those of you who have not gone on already notice this happen. Beast dives out of his car, his carriage, into the sand below, and his carriage flies upwards towards this electromagnet, this massive flat metal disc, and when it hits, it splinters into pieces. Beast is without a vehicle. Who's next?
I'm going to, when I see this happen, I'm going to immediately like pull on the reins to like get over to where I see him landing in the sand, and I'm going to try to slow down a little as I drive by to have hit so he can jump on the back of my chariot with me.
Excellent. Okay, so what stat are you thinking? Speed? Grace to kind of slide up next to him?
I think it would have to be Grace, which
Okay.
I am not very, but
Ooh, okay. So that's going to use 2 dice again.
Okay.
Please
That
don't
is
hit me with
one
Pegasus.
success.
1 success. Okay. Roll me a d8, please.
3.
Okay. You gun it and pull the wheel hard, or the reins hard, and as you do so, you slide towards Beast. Beast, you've landed and are kind of up onto a knee, ready to kind of hop in the back of Herc's chariot. Just at the last moment, both of you see little puffs of sand in a row, kind of as shing, tire blades pop up from the ground. So, to avoid these spikes, Hercules, 2 dice. How are you going to do it?
About how far apart are the blades? Are they real close together, or do they have a little bit of gap between them?
So it's like if you were trying to go out of a parking lot that had the one-way, strips that have those little blades that stick up. So that's every couple of inches.
Is there like a pile of like debris right near all this?
Of course.
I'm gonna jump it. I'm gonna use
Excellent.
flare, and I'm gonna jump.
Ooh, perfect. Way to go, DJ. Okay. So, that's 2 dice against your flare.
My flare is 8, and I rolled 2 7s. That is 2 successes.
Oh my god. Okay. So, these things are a threat level. Okay, they're only a threat level of 1. So, you manage to look gorgeous as the chariot Pegasus 2 launches itself into the air. Again, we hear that noise as it kind of sails, with a lot of airtime, like a ridiculous amount of airtime.
Like too much airtime.
Yeah, absolutely. Where it's like, really? That doesn't seem right. And then it lands in the sand and skids to a halt right in front of you, Beast. Who has not gone yet?
I think
Mary?
just me. So I'm going to we're going to fly through the air.
Think of a
And-
wonderful thought.
We'll break out in song as we do it. I think at this point Mary is going to use her learning about physics and aerodynamics and all that good stuff to get this gyrocopter back into like flying speed from this launch of that Beast has so graciously done. And did I lose where the huntsman disappeared to in a building?
I would say so at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you were falling and trying to gain control of this thing, so you spun around like every which way.
Okay, then we're just going to head out as best as we can
Okay.
from this disaster of a
That's 2 dice.
Okay, so 1 success.
Okay. Roll me a d6, please.
2.
What'd you get?
A 2.
Reroll that. That's the same thing you got. Oh, wait, hang on. Maybe I am wrong. I am wrong. Okay. 2 works, that's fine. You are starting to right yourself. Trying to get control of your gyrocopter. Just as you do, kind of level out again, and you're kind of moving between these 2 buildings, all of a sudden you hear this, and a great amount of like concrete rubble starts to fall on the other side of a building from you. You can watch it through the floors kind of start to fall, and you realize that it's tethered to something, and just about that moment your eyes go straight forward ahead, and a cable gets pulled upwards right across your line of sight. Kind of pulls taut. So you have 2 dice to try to avoid this.
Okay, we are going to pull up on the stick. I believe it's pulling up or pushing that, whatever it raises it. I'm not a pilot, but and do a aerial somersault over top of this
Okay, excellent.
cable.
So that sounds like grace or control?
I'm going for grace.
Grace,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins.
Of course.
Everything is done with grace. Even when she's forceful, it's graceful.
Right. That is 2 successes.
Okay, so you managed to pull this off and completely avoid this taut cable that has been brought across your path. Okay. Let's see. There's 5 of you. All right. Mary, just as you have pulled out of this loop-de-loop, you no longer have lost sight of the huntsman, because he leaps from the building beside you and grabs a hold, or is going to attempt to try to grab a hold of your gyrocopter. So, how are you avoiding him jumping out and catching purchase on your vehicle?
So he's jumping out, right? So I'm going to try to maneuver myself away. Sort of like I kind of do a bank. So I'm further than he would anticipate. But that also puts, I guess, the rotors away from him and myself closer, if that's
Okay, so that sounds like maybe control?
okay. We can do that.
Trying to make this gyrocopter do something very specific.
Very specific.
Okay, so 2 dice. No,
1 success. No.
This is not a trap. Sorry, this is him.
Okay.
Okay, you were unprepared. Yeah, 2 dice is fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so one success.
Okay, so again, he is a threat level of 3. So that means you're going to now have to roll your vehicle usage die 2 times, please.
Okay. Oh, that's a 1. So we're down to a
it
D4.
degrades. Ooh, okay.
Oh, that's a 2.
He leaps outwards, grabs a hold of the bottom of your gyrocopter, opens his jaws across the tailpipe, and bites down. And as he does so, you hear that noise of rended metal as he then clenches his teeth and rips the tail rotor off of your gyrocopter. And he rides this spinning bucket of death all the way down to the sand. Are you going to do the same? Or are you going to try to leap free?
Actually like to jump onto him.
Okay. Let's see. This is all happening very last minute. It's all very fast, so I'm going to say it's a 1 die situation. What stat are you going to use? How are you doing this?
Well, Grace, of course, because we're just going to casually get out of my destroyed gyrocopter and climb on this hairy beast.
Fantastic. Okay, so roll that die.
1 success.
Excellent. Okay. So you do so, but there is a cost. Mm-hmm. You manage to ride this werewolf, down into this sand, and at the last moment, kind of leap off onto like a dune and kind of skate downwards as he is actually going to hit the ground and explode with the rest of your gyrocopter. But in doing so, you may land wrong. So I need you, please, to roll your own health die.
Okay. I landed a little bit wrong. I rolled a 2.
Okay, so not only did you roll a 2, you also rolled your ankle.
Wonderful.
But, though it hurts, and it's going to take some time off of it to get back to normal, it's not going to be lethal.
Oh, there's some nuisance. I believe she's not even going to let them know that, like she wouldn't let anybody know that she got hurt. So, though it aches and it's going to be painful, she will not limp.
All right. So that was the turn of the huntsman. That means it is now y'all's turn.
Now, is the huntsman, you said he exploded, is he dead?
No. He will need to roll his health die, though, because he was in that explosion. So you'll do this, if you would, please, because it was your vehicle that blew up. Roll me a d10.
I rolled a 1.
Okay, so now roll me a d8, because it's going to be a threat of 2.
Okay, that's a 4.
Okay, so he is still at a d8. Though the explosion did singe some of his fur and hurt him, he is not dead. He is, however, still visible. Okay, so now it is y'all's turn.
How close is Mary to Mushu?
Mary had flown ahead, had been thrown ahead, and then also was flying ahead, and Mushu had moved ahead as well, so I would say you guys are fairly close. Beast and Herc are still back quite a ways. You guys are up there, and Merida has kind of split off from the group a bit. So she's kind of off on her own on the side.
So if nobody, if people don't mind, I'd like to go first before things happen. I think Mary is going to, I guess, while he's recovering from just being falling and exploding, walk up, very carefully walking because of her ankle, walk up behind him, and we're going to pull out that dagger that we got from Auntie Snow, and I'm going to stab him with it.
Ooh, okay. So, this sounds speed, because you were trying to take advantage of his still being caught in the explosion.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
trying to also not let him know that I was approaching. Like,
Okay, so maybe subtlety then.
yeah, kind of sneak up behind him.
Sure, that works. I don't know that assassination necessarily falls under Mary Poppins' bag of tricks, at least her usual bag of tricks. So I don't think you're an expert in this situation. However, I would say that you are prepared because he is, caught in kind of a fiery mess at the moment.
Okay. Oh, that's 2 successes. Yay.
Okay. So you're going to roll that d8. Potentially twice more.
Okay, that's a 4.
Okay.
And a 1.
Okay. So you stab down into his hide, and this blade, this super shiny knife, cuts easily through him, almost as if it were cutting like butter. And he howls and rears back, and turns to look at you with these teeth, this dripping maw, and these burning red eyes, burning with hatred in your direction. So he is now at a d6.
And I think as he does that, she would be saying, "Mind your manners. Don't be so rude."
Who's next?
Mushu's gonna drop back or drop forward to where Mary is. He's gonna try and cover her with his wing and burn the werewolf thing. It's a wolf. It's got to be afraid of fire.
Fight fire with more fire. Like it. Okay. So, Control, maybe force? What are you thinking?
Force, because he's angry now.
Ah, okay.
You attacked my friend.
Okay. So, again, this is Mushu's signature, so I definitely think you are prepared. And roasting things is, again, this is something that Mushu does. He knows how to line up his vehicle in the right spot, and so I think you're going to qualify for 3 dice, Mason.
3 success.
3 successes. Okay. So, we're going to have 3 rolls against his health die. He's starting at a d6. Roll a d6.
I got a 6.
You got a 6, so you'll roll a second time.
A 1.
Okay, so now we're at a d4. Last roll.
A 1.
Mushu, please describe to me how you finish off the huntsman.
You would notice that the dragon's eyes are glowing red, which you wouldn't have seen before. And the wing, the right wing comes around Mary Poppins to protect her from fire, and he's just going to let out a gout of fire at this wolf.
Reeling from the nasty gash that Mary Poppins just delivered, which I never thought I would ever whisper that phrase, he turns around and snarls, and just as he does so, the face of Mushu's dragon is there to answer, and the flames just roll around this creature. His fur catches ablaze, and he roars out in extreme agony and crumbles down into a blackened heap, glassing the sand around him as he dies. You guys are now free to leave the city. It takes some careful doing. There's a lot of traps in here, but you're able to pick your way out. What does that look like?
I think one of the first things you see is Mary turns to Mushu and just kind of gives him that curt little nod, and then she's like brushes off some soot from the fire, and then climbs onto Mushu's car and just kind of nonchalantly kind of picks some lint off of his shoulder and throws it away before sitting down.
Mary, as you are doing this, as you are probably cleaning the blade before you put it away, you notice something strange for just a moment. In the surface of this blade, as you look down, the reflection that looks back at you is not yours. You see a different face. A face that glares back at you with black eyes.
Do I recognize the face at all? Or do I just see the eyes?
I don't think you would recognize this face, no. And you don't see a full face. It's the equal portion of your face that would be reflected in the blade of this dagger. It's just not yours.
I think she would also, as seeing that, she would kind of, sit up right a little bit more and quickly look to see if Mushu was paying attention and try very much to, I guess, shield him from anything that he might have seen before she cleans it and tucks it away.
While you were cleaning it, Mushu would have just handed you some sword oil and then focused back on driving.
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay, so I think this is where we're going to go ahead and take our break. This is a good spot. All right, so we're going to take 5 to 10 minutes. Go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, smoke them if you got them, kiss your spouse, yada, 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 yada. So happy that there are people who are watching along with us this evening. Thank you so much for doing so. And thank you likewise if you are watching this game in the future. I'm super excited about this. These players, once again, are absolutely nailing all of this. I love how well this ridiculous concept is working. And I'm really excited to bring everything to a close in the last part of Chapter 2. So sit tight, 5 to 10 minutes, and we will be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back from our break. This is Chapter 2 of Unhappily Ever After, titled Through the Woods. This is going to be our second half of the second chapter. This will be the end, the finite, the finale, finito, fin. So I'm very excited to see how this is all going to go down. This has been a tremendous amount of fun so far, probably more than should be legal, honestly, especially with a licensed product. Disney, don't sue. And I can't have asked for 5 better players or 5 better characters. The way that you guys have put these characters through the lens of this apocalypse has been so much fun to watch. Okay, I believe Karen is present, so we're going to go ahead and roll forward. She's just being antisocial. She's eating. She doesn't want people to watch her eat. So I can understand. So once again, thank you everybody for tuning in so far this evening. I'm very excited to get to what we have next. So you have just recovered as best you can from your encounter with the huntsman, a werewolf creature under the same curse as Beast and Mordu. He is now nothing more than a smoldering heap of furry barbecue in the sand. 2 of your vehicles, however, were demolished by his insidious traps. So as the 5 of you are going to be pressing on with 3 vehicles, is there anything that you guys are discussing or talking about? Is there anything that you're doing as you exit the other side of the woods?
Can I use the wish upon a star point to get some of those mines?
Absolutely. So those will have a usage die of a D4 because there's not a whole bunch of them. Several of them went off. So it might be a one and done, but it should at least do you good for 1 attack. Okay. Anything else? That brings up a fair point. There are a lot of things here that were left discarded, brought to make traps with. So if you wanted to, you could possibly scavenge here.
Is there a usable, like, open bed trailer?
So like a secondary thing to hitch to like the chariot or something, or one of the other cars. Mm-hmm. Let's roll. I imagine there probably would be such a thing around. Just making sure it has tires and everything. Scavenge. Well, how are you going about trying to find something like that?
Beast is getting down and he's searching through the sands that has the cars in it, like digging through it, trying to see what half submerged things here are actually usable.
So maybe force. You said kind of digging his way, through things. Yeah. Any other suggestions? Or does force work for you?
Force works for me.
Excellent. Okay. So digging through piles of refuse is certainly not outside of the beast's wheelhouse. His castle was quite a mess for a long time. So I definitely think he would be qualified for an expert die for this. However...
Yeah, places tend to get dirty when the cleaning staff get turned into kitchen appliances.
Excuses. So I think this is going to be a 2 dice situation.
One success, 1 wish upon a star.
Excellent. Okay, so make sure to record that point. So you do find a trailer. However, one of its wheels is missing. So, if you're going to want this to work, somebody's going to have to come up with a very creative solution.
How similar are my chariot's tires?
I would say they're probably similar enough. They could probably work.
I've got a spare in the trunk.
Because I was just going to say we could just swap my chariot for the trailer. But we could have more room in the back. It's not as, in a way, it won't be as crowded.
or we could use the wheels from the cursed carriage.
Okay. So let's see how well those survived. Roll me just a single D10, Connor.
8.
Okay. One of them survived, but it's missing a couple of spokes. So it's going to be a little rickety. But this flatbed trailer is going to have a usage die of a D4. So it'll work for now.
Once the trailer is hooked up, Beast is going to get the legs of the cursed carriage, and he's going to pick them up from where they were, and he's going to put whatever remains onto the flatbed trailer.
Okay. So, which car is going to be towing the flatbed trailer?
I could.
Okay. So you have... I love how janky this looks in my mind. You've got this dragon car on the front pulling this flatbed trailer with a wagon wheel on one side of it.
Attached with a chariot hitch.
Absolutely.
Did any of the rotors from the gyrocopter survive?
Roll a d10.
And
A 10? Okay, yeah, both of them survived. Unbent. They're in immaculate condition.
I'll take both of them. I'm gonna try and use a blowtorch to try and make some spokes for the wagon thing that they have behind my car now.
Oh, excellent.
I'm
Okay.
gonna use the other one to make a sword, or attempt to make a sword.
Nice. Yeah, it's not hard to do. It probably would would do a sword a lot easier than it's going to be to make them into these spokes. So yeah, you can have yourself a sword. That would probably have... What did I give y'all's weapons? D6 usage die, is that right? Yeah? Okay. So it's got a D6 usage die. And we'll say with the shoring up that you've done with the spokes, that it'll bring the carriage up, or the flatbed trailer from a D4 up to a D6 as well. Okay. Anything else before you guys head out for Paris? The city of love. But maybe not anymore. No? Okay. So, to Gay Paris we go. You set out once again into the vastness of the desert and leave the woods behind you. Ahead of you, just a few days beyond, you can finally see your destination. Paris. Or at least what remains of Paris. It has certainly seen better days. The Eiffel Tower still stands, mostly in one piece. The fires still ravage parts of the city, never really going out, just being this constant smolder almost. But you begin to make your way through the outside of the city. False alarm. Thought I had to sneeze. As you are heading into the city of Paris, the sun slips from the sky and it becomes night. So as you enter Paris at nightfall, you begin to head towards the cathedral known as Notre Dame. 2, well, let's have a volunteer, and then I'll handle the second thing differently. Who wants to volunteer? Connor, Beast. So before we get to that Beast, who is it that Mary is riding with? Is it Mushu still? Mushu? Mushu. Roll me a d10, please.
8.
8. Okay. Never mind. Beast. Your eyes, since they are not having to focus on where you're driving, turn skyward for a moment. And you see a dark shape flying through the skies above you. It seems to be watching your progress, but at least as of now, has decided not to impede.
Beast would tilt his head over towards Hercules and he'd ask, I don't suppose your godliness lets you glow.
I don't think I have that much left. I think all that got taken from me.
After that, Beast would call out ahead of them to Mushu, and he'd say, Mushu, lights.
Small fire comes out of the dragon as acknowledgement.
As you use this weapon as a sort of torch, it kind of lights up the buildings around you. We see that kind of far away, camera angle of just all of these buildings, all this kind of smoldering wreckage, and then we just see this one particular street's worth of building fronts that kind of glows orange momentarily in this kind of rapid succession. You can see the ruins of the buildings of Paris everywhere. It's not in as much disrepair as the woods, whatever city that was, but it is no less destroyed. And at first, looking around, you don't see the creature again. You just see the stillness of the city. But then this creature swoops overhead once again, and you get a better look because the flare of Mushu's flamethrower. And you see a humanoid shaped creature, but some things are different about them. They have wings, for one, enormous bat wings, and their feet in claws that are enormous. And it has this enormously long tail that trails behind it as it through the streets above you.
Does it seem like it's being aggressive to us or just flying above us, like watching us?
It's definitely watching you, but that's, at least so far, it doesn't seem to mean you any harm. Doesn't seem to. Okay. nothing else said or done, you continue onward towards the Cathedral of Notre Dame. You find your way to the cathedral, and even from the outside, you can see that it just isn't in the same condition that it once was. Fire, the ravages of time, etc., have left it somewhat dilapidated. But the building still stands. And on the front steps of the cathedral, as you pull into its courtyard, you see the hunched form of Quasimodo. He stands, obviously expecting you. And flanking him is the creature that you saw flying above moments before, and a woman who stares at you with firm determination written on her face. So as you pull up to where this trio awaits you, the engines are cut off. What do you do then?
Is there enough light that I can turn off the flame or no?
Yes, definitely.
Beast is going to hop off of the Pegasus too, and he's going to walk forward, gesturing towards Merida had the necklace, I believe.
I gave the necklace to Mary.
Gesturing towards Mary then, saying, "We have a delivery for you."
Yeah, and I think Mary gets out of Mushu's vehicle, and she's kind of walking up to them, kind of removing the gloves, that she's got, and looking around this place. And the first thing that she would say to Quasimodo is, "You need to tidy up around here. This place is a disaster."
He kind of looks at you wide-eyed for just a moment and looks around at the others, and then he kind of smiles. It's soon to be the top of my list, I promise.
Very well, don't make it too long. This can't keep going like this. But we were sent here for you. You were expecting us?
No, I only expected your arrival when my friend, and he kind of gestures to the large beast, who now you can see in better light, you can see that the entirety of him looks like stone, though it moves. This is Goliath. He serves as a gargoyle here at Notre Dame now. He works for me as a friend. He is my eyes. He's told me that you have come, but I don't know why. Why have you come?
Pleased to make your acquaintance. And wait, Auntie Snow didn't... You did not know, truly.
He kind of turns his head with a little bit of a slight wry smile. I am expecting guests to arrive from Auntie Snow. But it is not for me to say why, at least not first. So I ask you again, Why have you come?
Auntie Snow would have us deliver something to you.
He kind of looks around at the rest of you. Are you all still in your vehicles except for Beast and Mary? No, you've all gotten out? Yeah, okay. He kind of looks around at the rest of you, nods. I remember some of you. Some of you at one time were good people, perhaps. But who knows if that's still the case? How do I know I should trust you? You won't tell me what it is that you've come for.
Mary, show him the dagger. Show him that we come on behalf of Auntie Snow.
And I think she would just look at Mushu kind of with that haughty look. Pish posh. Of course we come from Auntie Snow. I've already said why we're here. We're here to deliver you a package. Were you not expecting one?
Yes. Yes, I am expecting a package. Do you not even know what it is that you deliver?
Yes. Karen's memory is fading. I know it was I think it was
Necklace
the
from the Queen of Atlantis.
The Crystal of Kida.
Crystal of Kida. I do not want to speak of it out. And she looks around in the open. Is there not some place more comfortable that we can go?
Ah, of course. Forgive my rudeness. He turns as if to head towards the front doors. Just then, the thunder of an engine echoes through the nearby streets and announces the sudden arrival of a strange vehicle. As it slides into view to a stop, it looks almost like an enormous shoe. It comes to a stop. The door on the side opens, and someone emerges. Someone that Mary might, at least in part, recognize. And it's the black eyes that remind her. Beast, you also recognize this woman. This is the young version of the enchantress that cursed you. As she steps from the vehicle, 8 dwarves step out, flanking her, covered in soot and sweat. She steps down and looks toward all of you. Give me the dagger.
Oh dear, I think we have a problem.
Have you not taken enough?
As this is happening, I'm slithering back into my car.
Merida's going for her harpoon. She's not bothering getting in the car. She's just gonna slide across the hood and wrench it around, ready to take aim.
Okay. Am I back? Can you hear me? Sweet. Okay. Sorry about that. Audio issue. Okay. Beast said, haven't you taken enough? Merida got in her car and got ready. Mushu slithered into his vehicle. Did I miss anything else?
Mary didn't get in her car. She just slid across the hood and wrenched the harpoon around.
Excellent. Okay, good deal. Okay. You all ready yourselves for what is likely going to be a fight. All of you, please roll initiative. So, as we get those in from everybody, she looks at the group of you.
What is going on here? Quasimodo. What are you up to? And you? Your name is Moana, isn't it?
She then raises her finger in the direction of the three gathered on the front steps. And Moana passes out. She falls asleep. Goliath likewise falls asleep. Which means you hear as he turns to rigid stone and stops moving. Quasimodo turns and picks up this sleeping form that you have been informed is Moana and slings him over the other shoulder from his deformity and says, I must get her to Sanctuary! Sanctuary! And he turns and he runs for the doors of the cathedral. The magic that she just used to put these creatures to sleep arcs skyward, and she takes a wand from her hand and twirls it in a large circle above her crown. And as she does so, you can see the energy, this glowing green magic, fling further and further away from her like ripples in a pond. In the immediate area around you, benches, parts of iron-wrought fences, lampposts begin to move of their own accord and come at each of you. So, each one of you is going to be attacked by an animated object from the city. I need each one of you, please, to tell me how you are going to try to avoid their assault.
As a,
What? Well, somebody's got to go.
as a bench and a pair of lampposts come running at Beast, he taps into a primal anger, one that he hasn't felt since Belle passed on. He wasn't going to let the Enchantress take anything else from him. And so as a lamppost swings itself down at him, he's going to grab it and swing it into the bench and other lamppost, releasing it, throwing them across the street.
Excellent. So, animated objects is certainly something that Beast is used to dealing with. He did for years and years. So, you are certainly an expert, and again, facing magic is something that you're not used to, or that you are used to. So I would say you can qualify for 3 dice for this roll. Another one on the floor.
It fell over. Give me a sec.
Sure thing.
It should be self-explanatory that was force, and that's 3 successes.
Yeah, I figured it was probably force. 3 successes. Okay, so the lamppost that you are wielding, roll a d4. Three. Okay. And you had 3 successes, so roll a d4 again. Three. Okay, and then roll it one more time. 4. Oh, wow. Okay, this is a sturdy-ass lamppost. You clang kind of it across this bench. You send a bench and another lamppost kind of scattered across the cobbled streets. But this lamppost, though dinged up and scratched, is still intact and is trying its best to get at you. So, it is going to attack you by swinging its kind of bulbous lamp side kind of at you, whipping it almost like a flail. So I need you to roll your health die. Oh, wait. You got 3 successes? Yes. Roll your health die once.
7.
Okay. You are good. You easily kind of bat it aside with your forearm, kind of shattering the bulb, but nothing else, or the kind of globe that encompasses the bulb. Okay. Let's see. Who is going to be next? Merida. What's approaching you, and how are you going to try to block it?
I imagine a fence and set of posts comes barreling toward Merida, bent over, trying to skewer her. She actually abandons the harpoon to dive behind the wheel of her car, and she will attempt to do a donut maneuver to hit the fence with the rear end of, with the side of her car.
Excellent. Okay.
Which I suppose is flair.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and yeah, let's see. Trying to remind myself how Merida was on the horse. I don't remember her being particularly reckless or crazy.
Just always high butane.
No, that's true. Yeah, she is always going fast. Yeah, that's fair.
Dodging.
Okay.
Moving.
So I would definitely say that she could qualify for the expert die in this situation. This is certainly something that she's used to. However, I don't think fighting animated objects is something that she's used to doing. So I think this is going to be 2 dice.
True. Okay. All right. So let's see. My flair is 7. Oh, I need to roll. Oh, good.
Under.
I need to roll under. All right. And I did. I got a 6 and a 4.
Excellent. 2 successes. So you jump in the car, and I imagine you're probably not even in the seat properly. Maybe even upside down, like putting your hand on the gas pedal and just jerking the wheel like to the right angle that it needs to be at to cause this thing to fishtail in a circle. And you slap this fence. So you got 2 successes. Okay, so roll a d4.
D4. What's on my D4s? Should be easy to spot. There we go. It's not the one I wanted, but it'll work. 2.
Okay. And then roll me another d4.
Okay. 4.
Okay. So you spin this thing in a circle, and you slap the hell out of this fence with the ass end of your Mustang, and you send this fence flying. It actually rends itself kind of in half from the torque that you put on it, and the top half of it flies and kind of slams against a part of the cathedral before clanging to the ground, and it is no mas.
Nice.
Let's see. So you did an attack against one. So, okay, so you will need to roll. It won't be your health die. It'll be the vehicle's health die.
Sorry, I rolled a 6, and it's
Okay.
a D8. So it's just not roll a 1 or 2, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, no damage to your car, or at least superficial. To just probably scrape some of the paint off, kind of thing, from this wrought iron fence. Excellent. Okay, so next up is Mushu. Mushu, what is approaching you, and how are you going to try to avoid it?
There's a wrought iron fence and a cabinet. And I'm going to try and burn them.
Excellent. Okay. So it sounds probably like force again. Same thing. Not much in the way of probably being used to fighting atom-ended objects, but fire is Mushu's thing. So I think this is going to be a 2 dice.
2 success.
2 successes. Excellent. Okay, so roll a d4.
1.
Okay, so the armoire at least goes up in flames and is going to burn to a crisp. Roll a d4 a second time.
2.
And the wrought iron fence just melts under the extreme heat of this blowtorch of Mushu's and just curls in on itself, almost like a spider whenever it dies. It kind of like falls to the ground, and its like posts kind of curl in towards one another, and it stops moving as it glows red-orange. Excellent. Okay, that was Mushu. Mary Poppins, what comes after you?
So there's a few things coming after her, and the first of which is a bench, kind of racing towards her, kind of crab-like with all 4 legs. And she is going to almost effortlessly jump atop of it with one booted foot, springing herself forward, catching a lamppost by the handle of her umbrella, using it the momentum to swing herself around, kicking out at this trash can that was also attacking and causing it to spin itself into that first bench.
Okay, so first, before we do anything else, with that bum ankle,
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do this. Let's roll your health die, but if you roll a 1 or a 2, it's not necessarily going to drop. We'll see what happens.
I rolled a 4.
4. Okay, so even though it causes you pain, you're going to be able to pull this off. Okay, so this sounds, naturally, like a graceful thing. So, hooking the umbrella, that's certainly something I can see Mary Poppins being well-equipped to handle, so I think expert die makes perfect sense. And you know what? She actually spends a lot of time with animated objects, so I think 3 dice in this situation.
That is 3 successes.
Okay. So you're going to roll a d4.
2.
Okay. So the primary target is destroyed. Go ahead and roll a second time.
1.
Okay. The badass Mary Poppins here. The second creature that you were engaged with is dead, and a third time.
Oh, another one. Wow,
my
this
God.
die is.
Wow, so Mary Poppins, like some kind of ninjutsu master, like spins through these things armed with an umbrella and just dismantling these objects as if they were made out of paper. She kind of like lands 3-point hero style, like in the middle of this like pile of mess now. It's made up of these things that are trying to get to her.
With the umbrella arm straight back, you know.
Absolutely. Okay, so likewise, since you chose to take an attack, you will need to roll your health die once. See if there was a cost to this. The best defense is an offense.
All right, that's a 3.
3. Okay, so you're good. Again, that ankle kind of flares up. That 3-point landing, you almost didn't stick it. The keyword being almost.
Almost. That's why it was a 3-point landing and not just landing on my feet.
There you go. Perfect. Okay.
You may look like the third point was the plan all along.
Exactly. At least to an outside observer. Pulls out a tape measure. Perfect in every way. So, last but certainly not least, Hercules. What you got coming at you?
So there's this like one of those old crank start like original model like cars, and up on the top, like on the hood of the car, almost like a centaur almost, is a mailbox, like a street side like mailbox.
I love it. Absolutely.
And it's like door is like flapping up and down as it's coming towards me. And and like for just a second, like I'm back in Greece. And there's a centaur like charging me. And I get nervous. I don't know what to do. I can't do this anymore. And I flash back to the street and I look around and I see everybody else like fighting and fighting well. And I tell myself, I can't let anyone down anymore. And I grab my shield off my back and unsheath my sword and charge full force at this car to just try to puncture the radiator on this car.
Excellent. Okay. So, you charge forward almost in a game of chicken against this strange mashup of vehicles and mailboxes. This sounds like force.
Mm-hmm.
Again, fighting centaurs is something that Herc has done before. So, definitely an expert. Prepared. I mean, yeah, you're facing down effectively a charging cavalry. So, I think 3 dice in this situation. Sounded like force, right?
Yeah, force.
Yeah, makes sense.
Two successes.
Okay. So you charge forward at this thing. Roll me a d4.
4.
Roll it one more time.
2.
Okay. On your second success, because you had 2, you managed to pull it off. You kind of jabbed the sword in through the front grill. And at first you didn't make purchase. The sword just went in too easy. But then you kind of turn it sideways and sweep it horizontally. And it just cuts through this metal as if it were warm chocolate. It just shrink, comes out the other side. You can see the blade of your sword with that familiar glow. The sparks that are caused from the steel of your blade against the steel of this thing's innards hangs in the reflection of your blade for just a moment too long, as if it doesn't want to give up the radiant glow of the sparks. And this car careens out of control, slams into the wall of a nearby fountain, and the mailbox flies off its front and goes through a window of a nearby building. Okay. So, all of that was her turn. Now, you guys get the chance to take your full turns. In any order that you wish, you may proceed. Oh. One little teensy weensy little thing that I forgot to mention. On each one of your turns, I need you to roll your health die. Because your stomachs start to lurch and tighten painfully, as if something you ate was disagreeing with you. This is the part where you guys play.
So Beast is going to take the lamppost, and he's going to pitch it like a spear at the Enchantress.
Excellent. So that sounds like force, or maybe control. I have a feeling you might go with force.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Again, animated objects is... I mean, this is something the Beast is familiar with. I don't know about throwing lampposts as javelins, but, he's used to dealing with animated objects. So
He's definitely
definitely
used
think
to dealing with animated objects and also probably throwing things, but I don't think spears specifically.
probably not. So I think this is probably going to be 2 dice.
So that is going to be a success.
Okay. 1 success. All right, so I need you to roll a d12 for me, please.
12. Seven.
Okay. Oh, yes, DJ, thank you. Yes, I do need you to roll your health die for me.
10.
You get a 1. Okay, so, I'm sorry, no, not you, Beast. You're good for right now. When you pierce the car's radiator, Herc, it kind of wrenched your shoulder back out of place for just a minute. Okay, the spear, you throw this lamppost, Beast. It hurls through the air, and at the last moment, she happens to kind of look up and see it coming and start to move out of the way, and it kind of across her cloak, tearing the bottom hem off to one side, but missing her. She turns to you and kind of lets out this noise.
Beast will roar in response.
I should have killed you long ago. All right.
If possible, Beast is then going to move towards her.
Okay, yep.
Running on all fours.
Nice. Very cool. Okay. So Beast, after throwing this lamppost spear, then charges towards her. Merida, as far as I'm concerned, you can go next. That's fine.
Seeing the witch is distracted and in full engagement with Adam at the moment. Merida, you hear the squeal of tires and the rev of a big engine, and she charges the witch. She's just gonna run her down.
Okay. So, again, going fast. It's what Merida does.
She does.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's probably like speed. It sounds like it to me.
I would, yeah. I mean, or, yeah. Yeah.
Could potentially be...
It's that momentum, but
intimidation?
a case could be made for intimidation.
Yeah.
But if she's paying attention to Beast right now, she's maybe not noticing to be intimidated.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So... I don't know. Running people down. I think this might be 2 dice.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like she shot things while she was riding. So it's kind of the same thing, right? So I have a 3 and a 6. Yeah, but 2 successes.
2 successes. Excellent. Okay. So you're going to roll that D12.
D12. Ooh.
Beastly.
It's a 7.
Okay. Then roll a second time.
Okay. And that's an 8.
Okay. You drive your car barreling across this courtyard in her direction. And as you do so, your engine roaring loudly and echoing off of the stones of Notre Dame and the surrounding buildings, she turns in your direction, looks at you with these black, fathomless eyes, and levitates off of the ground. And you pass directly underneath her.
Right under her.
She stays somewhat airbound, looking down at all of you.
This witch causes nothing but trouble. Just when I gave her the benefit of the doubt.
I tried to warn you.
All right. So that was so far Herc. And
do I need to roll a health
no,
health die too?
Oh, no. Okay, so the only reason you guys were rolling your health die is because on their turn, when they were attacking you, you guys each chose as your defense an offensive action. So instead of just defending yourselves against these creatures, you decided to try to attack first. So that effectively allowed their attack to come through because it went unchallenged, essentially. Sorry, I should have explained that better.
But you were saying something about our stomachs were churning?
Yeah.
That, yes. Yeah, each one of you on your turn is going to have to do that separately. Was Merida the first one to go? No? Beast went first.
Beast was, yeah.
Did you roll, Connor?
Yeah, I rolled when you asked Mushu to, and I got a 10.
Oh, okay. Good. And then Merida, what'd you
get? 7.
Okay. So both of you, though your stomachs are not pleased with you, you're managing to bear through it. Sorry, Merida, for the pun. Who's next?
So Hercules sees the witch float up above the car, and he's had enough with like powerful evil people. Like you all see in the scene in Hercules, like at the very end when like Hades is standing there and Hercules walks by and just like punches him in the face. Like that's Hercules' attitude right now with this witch. And so he's going to take off running and start leaping off of items to get some height, and is going to just try to attack her, just try to cut her down.
Excellent. Okay. So possibly flare again?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, this style of sword fighting is certainly not something that Hercules is unused to in the least. So I definitely think that you would qualify for the expert die. He's fought a lot of gods and things, people who had magic at their disposal. So I think that he probably could qualify for a third die here.
Okay. That's 3 successes.
Ooh, okay. All right, so we're going to get that D12. Still is D12. Roll it for the first one.
3.
Okay. Roll it again.
A 1.
Ooh, okay. And then a roll D10 for the third.
Another 3.
Okay. So, yeah, you leap through the air, bringing your sword down, and you manage to gash her across her bicep. She recoils, kind of slinging her arm back around behind her back, trying to get it away from you, but you can see the blood fall from her down onto the ground. She turns to you with the same menacing glare and hisses. Okay. Did you roll
and I rolled my health die, and I got a 7, so I'm good.
Okay, good. Good deal. All right, who's next?
So I think so we've got 8 dwarves and this floating witch, right?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm so happy you mentioned that and it reminded me. Mary, roll me a D10.
A 2.
A 2. Okay. Are you fighting with this with your umbrella, or what do you have in your hands currently?
Currently, I would have my carpet bag and my umbrella.
Excellent. Okay. So, as you are fighting, you kind of stick this 3-point landing, and you kind of start to get back up to your feet, and that pain in your ankle kind of causes you to look downward at your belt. You see that blade, that immaculately shiny blade. As you kind of turn, it pans across the witch and her dwarves. You just happen to see, just in the faintest of a flash, as it passes over them, the reflection shows the old woman that you initially met in the abandoned cottage, not this young version. And the 8 dwarves are not dwarves. They're children. Under enchantment magic.
Okay. Then I'm going to I'd like to use my Wish Upon a Star point to have my umbrella also be one of those, it's like Tommy gun kind of gun where I can pull the handle and it shoots.
Excellent. Please tell me you store your cadre of bullets in your carpet bag.
Of course.
So there's no need for like this massive drum. It just like, oh my god, that's amazing. Okay. Yes, you may spend your wish upon a star point to make that a thing.
Okay, I'm going to aim that umbrella at the witch and fire off multiple rounds. Just
Okay.
range.
God, I don't know what this would even be. I can't get over the image.
I almost imagine like her planting both feet down solidly and pulling the umbrella gun, like as if she's, always known that it could do this.
Sure.
And so I'm kind of thinking controlled. It's almost like how
Nice.
dare you?
Okay. All right, so you are aiming this umbrella machine gun at the flying witch?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. All right, so control it is then. This, I don't know that this is a typical Wednesday evening for for Mary Poppins. So I don't think that she's necessarily prepared. But it is her umbrella. So I think 2 dice.
Okay, perfect. So that's 1 success.
Okay. So we are currently at a D10, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So please roll the D10.
That's a 10.
Okay. So you begin just firing this rapid fire hail of lead out of the end of this umbrella. Like you're giving tuppence a bag. That Chad said in the
It's
chat.
no longer a spoonful of sugar, it's the whole damn jar.
The whole damn bag. The bird lady. Here's your bird seed. So you fire this barrage in her direction, and as you do so, she flicks this wand in her other hand, the one that wasn't just injured from Herc, and as she does so, these brambles grow up out of the flower beds and in between the cracks in the ground, all up in front of her, forming this very thick wall of bramble vine, and all of the bullets just harmlessly into the greenery before her. Okay.
Oh, and then my health die?
Ah, yes, please.
Oh, that's a 2.
Ooh, okay. So it's going to degrade down. Your stomach is toe up. You're having a hard time standing up straight.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't help that I also saw the children. So it's kind of affecting me more.
Yeah, that makes really good sense. It's part physical, part mental. Okay. Is anybody else not gone this round?
Me.
Excellent, okay. Mushu.
I'm gonna aim my firework cannons at the flying thing. I think she's just out of reach of my flamethrower.
Okay, yeah, that makes good sense. So you're going to get a little bit of long range action going, kind of, light a match of lighter, or maybe Mushu can manage that much flame himself. And you're going to light these firecrackers and shoot them off at her. Okay, again, fireworks are definitely something that Mushu is an old hat with. So he's going to qualify for an expert die. Launching them at honey buns is definitely what he kind of grew to be known for. So I think he's going to qualify for a third die as well.
Would that be knowledge then? For predicting where she'll be loading?
Yeah. Yeah, that works for me. Kind of trying to calculate how she's going to be flying around.
3 successes.
Damn, all right, 3 successes. Okay, she was still at a D10. 10, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So I'm going to actually put that right here so I don't forget. All right. So you have a D10, and we're going to be rolling that, seeing what we come up with.
It's a 1.
Okay. So now a D8.
That's a 2.
Holy shit. Okay. So now a D6.
And that's a 1.
Holy crap. Mushu. So she just summons this wall of thorny vines to protect herself from the barrage of fire, quote unquote, from Mary Poppins. However, unfortunately, she has taken her attention away from Mushu for just long enough that he points this comically large like bottle rocket in her direction, lights it, and this dragon-faced rocket erupts towards her and hits her square in the back and just erupts in this like shower of sparks and horrendously loud noise here this low to the ground. She does not look good. Go ahead.
As it hits her, I'm going to say, may your ancestors grant you mercy. We will not.
She turns to you and says, I shall feed you to my dwarves, Snake.
It's an 8 on my health die anyways.
Excellent. Mushu, that's probably not the worst thing that you've ever eaten. Okay. So, I think that's everybody. Okay. It is now her turn. She turns towards you, Mushu, leveling her wand in your direction. And a green tendril of magical energy begins to snake its way out of the end of her wand, straight into your vehicle, and attempts to bite you right where the heart is. So, how are you going to try to avoid this?
Let's do knowledge. Because I know enough about snakes or dragons to know just how to shift the body enough that its bite misses.
Excellent. Okay. So being a dragon and snake yourself, I would definitely say you're familiar with the kind of movement that they take. So I think this is going to be 2 dice.
Two success.
Okay. 2 successes. She is, however, a threat 4. So I need you to roll your health die twice, please.
An 8 and a 4.
Excellent. So, though you are not able to entirely get yourself out of the way, though predicting the strike as you might, it does not penetrate your scaly hide and do you any harm. So you manage to escape. All right. Out in the courtyard, the animated things continue to press their assault. And that's about the time that you hear something else moving rapidly towards you. You hear a metallic sound, something like metal on stone. And as you hear that, you hear rounding the corner into the courtyard. You see a patinaed chariot, a statue, comes tearing around the corner. It is the Quadriga statue of the Grand Palais. Riding atop the chariot is a robed statue of a woman regaled with wreaths. This brass chariot comes peeling down the street, pitching this way and that, sending sparks as its metallic horses slam their hooves down on the ground and charge towards you. Let's see. It's going to potentially get two of you. Herc and Beast. As it rides past you, this statue, holding a wreath in each hand, swipes one wreath at one of you and then one at the other. These bronze leaves are certainly sharp enough that at this speed they could damage you. How are the two of you avoiding this attack?
Herc, I'm going to need your cooperation on this. Beast is going to plant himself, hold his arms out. He's going to try and stop the chariot by grabbing onto a pair of the horses.
Okay. And I see you grab these horses, and I know that if you're successful, it's gonna tip up, like you pulled the front brake on a bicycle. The chariot's gonna lift up off the ground, and so I flip my shield off my hand and grab it cap style, and I'm going to attempt to decapitate the statue.
The statue. Wonderful. That's amazing. Okay. So, Beast. You're just going to try to basically just pile drive these things into the ground, essentially. It sounds like. That certainly sounds forceful. Once again, animated objects. So I definitely think that there are 2 dice in this situation. Tackling statue horses at a full gallop. Yeah. Fuck it. Let's go big. 3 dice.
Triple success.
Okay. All right. So, I need you to roll me a d6. 2. Okay, second roll. This is going to be a d4. Okay, third roll of a d4. 1. Okay. You manage to grab both of these horses and plant them in the ground. They crumple, their hollowed bronze legs just giving way underneath your tremendous weight coming down on their backs. And they crumple forward, and as they do so, Herc, exactly as you predicted, the rest of the horses can't continue, and the chariot comes to a very abrupt stop, and the back flies upwards. This statue attached to the chariot isn't necessarily going to fly off of it, but it is catapulting forwards, and you leap up, having anticipated the entire thing, bringing your shield across. Please make your roll. I would say control, perhaps. Could also be force, still. What you thinking?
I mean, I was gonna like straight up discus this thing. So like,
Okay. Flare then.
so I was thinking flare. Yeah, just like I'm
Absolutely.
gonna like do the full like 360 spin and then let go.
And hurl. Perfect. Okay. Absolutely. Let's see. Yep. Like I said, let's go big. 3 dice.
Okay. Three successes.
Oh, okay. Starting with a d6. Let's get these rolls.
4.
Okay. Second roll, d6 still.
A 1.
Okay. Now a d4. Third roll.
A 1.
All right. Exactly as calculated, Herc. You spin, you release. Just as you do so, the clouds part and let the light of the full moon shine down on this square. And we see the light reflect off of the golden glint of your shield, and it straight through this bronze statue's neck. The head tumbles onto the concrete, coming to a stop, rolling just a few feet away. The rest of the chariot continues in its arc, coming down on the other side of you, beast, and crumpling down into a pile of patinaed bronze.
And I look up at the moon, and I like say a silent prayer in thanks to Artemis. Just thank you. Just for guiding me, for guiding that.
Perfect. Okay. The chariot has been dealt with. Both Beast and Herc, however, took offensive defenses. So I need both of you, please, to roll your health die. 4. Okay, Beast is okay. Uninjured. Herc's good. Okay. Both of you managed to pull this off with nary a scratch. All right. The rest of the animated objects, we'll say there's still 1 each on the other 3 of you, Mary, Merida, and Mushu, the M's. So each one of you, once more, if you would please, tell me what is coming after you. What animated object is trying to get you and how you're going to avoid it.
Lamppost is coming after me, and I'm just going to cover my wings around myself to make a...
Excellent. Okay. So what are you thinking for that? Stat-wise. Force?
Force.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Yep. You've been using these wings a lot with your vehicle, so I think it's something that you're definitely used to. You've been using them for protection in particular. So I think this is going to be 2 dice.
Success and a wish upon a star.
Excellent. Okay. So these things are only a threat level of 1. So you manage to throw your wing up, and it kind of puts a dent in the outside of the wing, but nothing more. Okay. Another M, please. I can't hear you, Chris. You're not showing muted on my... Oh,
sorry, I was double muted.
Ah.
A phone booth comes charged
Perfect.
at Merida. Everything's been, old-fashioned, so it's time for something modern. The phone book, dating myself. The phone book is like, out there on its cord, doing this like a mouth, trying to take a chunk out of anything it comes into. Yeah, it's a little anachronistic, isn't it? And so Merida aims her harpoon and fires away. So I think we finally have like force, something different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I almost imagine like the phone booth is like out front, flapping like a crazed bird or like a bat, and it's like tethered because of the cords that those things used to come on. And it's kind of like hopping behind it, like trying to like keep up with the slack.
I love that. I love that. So, so how many dice?
Okay. So this harpoon, this is Merida's thing. This is what she's done.
Yes.
She's shooting for her own hand. So I definitely think she qualifies for the expert die in this situation.
Yes.
And I mean, again, yeah, this you've been wanting to fire this harpoon the entire battle. So I think 3 dice in this situation.
Sweet. Okay. Unfortunately, my number's a 6, so we'll see. Okay, so I have 2 successes and 1 failure.
Okay. So these things have a D4, so we're gonna roll a D4.
Okay. It's a 4.
Okay, and one more time for the second success.
I really want a different die. 1.
Okay, so you impale this thing with your harpoon, and it kind of even like comes through the phone book, through the booth itself, and like out the backside before it kind of finally comes to a rest in a nearby building. And it kind of hops like once or twice more, and then the whole thing collapses and falls over under its own momentum. And the book kind of lays open, kind of its pages kind of twitching before it grows still. Okay. However, that was an offensive defense. So please roll your health die.
Alrighty. Oh, and we got a 10.
Okay. So you're able to kind of like, you fire this harpoon and it hits and you immediately kind of duck down beside the body of your car as the shattered glass kind of flies straight where you were just standing, but none of it manages to injure you.
Nice.
Okay. Mary, what's attacking you?
So we're in Paris. So what's attacking Mary is those little bistro chairs and tables that you'd see in those little cafe places.
The
They're
sidewalk
kind of
cafe?
yeah. So they're kind of coming at her, and they're coming at her from all directions. And Mary just kind of stands there. I mean, she has just shot her umbrella, and she's watching these things calmly as they approach. And at the last second, as they're about to like almost like dogpile her, she jumps up onto the stair railing that happened to be right behind her, crosses her legs, and slides up the banister.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, this these tables are coming at you. They're playing the old Australian game. That's not an umbrella. This is an umbrella. They're trying to show you up. So that sounds like Grace.
All right. So I roll 1 die.
No. So let's see. Sliding up a banister is absolutely something that Mary Poppins has done more than once. Okay. I think 2 dice in this situation.
So that is 2 successes.
2 successes. Excellent. So you were just trying to escape these things, so you managed to do so gracefully. You get away from these chairs as they're all kind of clattering against one another, trying to get to you, but to no avail. They pose you no threat.
Beautiful.
Okay. So, was that everybody already? Yeah, I seem to go fast. Okay. So that is her turn completed now. She went because she cast a spell, and then all the animated objects went. So we are to you guys. It is your turn.
Where is she in relation to everybody?
She is still airborne, probably 10 feet off the ground, give or take, is kind of what I'm seeing in my head. And she's probably at the most 50 feet away from the furthest of you.
So, since Merida didn't move her car, I'm assuming that she's still kind of close to the witch.
Sure, yeah.
After Beast hucks the rubble of the former chariot behind him, he is going to once again go onto all fours and run towards the witch. And he is going to bound up onto Merida's car and leap up from there, using it as a launching platform to try and grab her and tackle her onto the brambles that she summoned.
Ooh, excellent. Okay. So yeah, again, kind of this almost, I hesitate to call it acrobatic, but it's almost this bestial clamor that Beast seems to be used to. Again, moving quickly through his castle. I definitely think that this is something he's an expert at. And I think Beast has been imagining this moment for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be another 3 dice.
That's 2 successes and a wish upon a star.
Okay, make sure you record the point, although it may not matter. She was at a D4, I think, already. Okay, so let's roll that D4 for the first time.
2.
Please, if you would, Beast, how do you kill the evil queen, Grimhild?
As he
Or as you may know
leaps
her, the Enchantress.
from Merida's vehicle, he claws up the side of a nearby building before leaping off of that and jumping onto her, digging his claws into both of her arms. And she wasn't expecting the added weight of Beast coming up onto her. And the flight that she cast on herself fades sharply as she falls, looks back up at Beast, and for just a moment, the realization hits both her and Beast. As the thorns pierce into her and drag down her skin as her and Beast fall down on this pyre of brambles, you see an expression in Beast's eyes of catharsis. And you see in her eyes something that approximates regret before the life eventually leaves her.
In a moment after, the animated objects cease to move. They fall over where they stand. The witch herself turns weathered, gray, frail looking again. The woman that you met in the cottage before. The brambles wither as if passing through a season in an instant. And Paris grows still. You are able to awaken Moana. The dwarves shift and become children. A surprise, no doubt, to the rest of you, though Mary Poppins may have realized it. the crystal of Kida is given to Moana, who opens the locket that once housed the heart of Te Fiti and places the crystal within it. The hope is that between whatever magic residue may be left in this locket, as well as Moana's affinity, that the oceans might be brought back. So, the end. Thank you all so very, very much. You guys were phenomenal players. You guys took this and ran to the bank with it. It was so fantastic to run this game for you. This was out on a branch, even for me. I didn't know how this was going to go. I didn't know if this was going to be something that worked. And to say the least, I am incredibly pleased. So thank you guys so much. To anybody who has watched, thank you also. This was incredible, and I'm glad that there were so many of you who came along and shared it with us, whether watching live or in the future. It doesn't matter. It's appreciated. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. Before we head out of here, I'm going to pass things back over to my players, these incredible people, so that they can close out however they see fit. And then we're going to put a bow on it. So, starting with Chris.
Well, Merida left her car the moment she saw Beast and the witch descending into the briars, and she's already barreling full speed at him, and just like amazed that he's the first person she arrives at, but having such a similar story, she has this affinity toward him, and so she just barrels into him, not even waiting for permission, and just throws her arms around him, and we did it, oh my gosh, and she gives you a huge kiss on your cheek, and she turns to everyone else just to congratulate them, and that's how she ends it.
Excellent. Well done, Chris. I think this is only the second game that I've played with you. It'd be the third session, if I'm not mistaken, that I've run for you. I'll correct myself. I have played with you a couple of times outside of that. You always bring a very infectious joy and energy to the characters that you play. And it was a perfect fit for the feisty, redheaded Merida. I think it was wonderful. And having her be an expert with a crossbow, a harpoon mounted on a car was a perfect fit.
Thank you to whoever suggested that in the group. Yeah, thank you so much. This has been amazing, and thank you to all of you, because you've played your characters to a T, and this has been
yeah. A chef kiss from the chef, no less. Anybody who has mentioned a channel, by the way, you should be able to find the link to that channel in the description of this video. Please do go check them out. Share the love. Like, subscribe to them, etc., etc. Next up, we have Connor.
After the brief exchange he has with Merida, Beast looks down at the witch's body, breathing heavily, having exerted himself probably way farther than he should have in that fight. And as the brambles fall down around him, wilting, he says to himself, "It's over." And when he rejoins the group, he is going to tell them, "There is a place for a beast, but there is also a place for me as a man. You all will call me Adam now."
Excellent, Connor. Dude, like, you and I have played together quite a bit, and every time, man, it's an absolute pleasure. And the amount of heart and depth and sadness that you brought to Beast was not only perfectly on point, with, you know, his story fit through the lens of an apocalypse, but also, I don't know, it fed into that savage nature of his. It fueled that savage nature of his, and it was very apparent. So, kudos, man. Very, very well done. It was fantastic to watch. So, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing. And I hope in the future that we can continue to play together because all of your sessions are phenomenal.
I appreciate that, Connor. Thank you. And I'm certain that we will. I'm certain of it. Okay, next up, we have Mason.
Musha would get out of the dragon after turning it off again and bring his blowtorch with him to the pyre that's now laying there. And he would turn to the two who he knows were affected the most by this witch and ask if either of you two would like to light the fire.
It would be an honor.
I'll hand you the blowtorch. And then while the fire's lit, I'm going to eat one of those apples.
Perfect. I'm sure nothing bad would come from that at all. Mason, this is the first game that I've gotten the chance to play with you, man, and it was awesome. Mushu was definitely not one of the ones that I had initially even thought about, because there is a bunch of Disney characters out there, and Mushu was not even on my radar. And when you brought him up, I was like, I don't know how he's going to drive a car. But you came up with an incredibly creative solution that was both equal parts adorable and menacing, which captures Mushu pretty well. So I think it fit really, really well, and it was a joy to have you in the game, man. So thank you very much for agreeing to be a player in this.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Next up, Karen.
So we see Mary Poppins rounding up the children, and we can overhear her saying, "Disgraceful! What are you trying to grow a garden with all that dirt on your faces? Come this way. We must clean you at once." As she would lead them off to desoil them. And Jeremy, I just gotta say, this was so much fun to play this. Every time you come up with what you consider a crazy, whacked out, I don't know if this is going to work idea, I'm like, oh yeah, it is. And I want to be in on it because they're usually pretty damn amazing. So thank you for running this. This was super loads of fun.
I'm very happy to hear that. I'm really, really ecstatic that it went over so well. I got way more people who agreed that this was a good idea than I thought I would. I thought this was going to be one of those games where I was going to have to beg and plead people to play. And I was pleasantly surprised that wasn't the case. And yeah, thank you guys. You guys were hardcore evidence of why this works, why it could have worked. And Karen, you and I play together all the time, so I knew what to expect from you. I did not, however, expect Mary Poppins. And when you suggested to play Mary Poppins in this, and you mentioned her alongside a couple of other characters as possibles, I was like, oh, please do Mary Poppins. Because the idea of Mary Poppins in an apocalypse it's a stroke of genius. And seeing all of her isms kind of twisted to fit the narrative, forget about it. It was fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last but certainly not least, headband wearing DJ.
So as sort of the fire burns down and everybody's sort of celebrating this victory and this successful delivery, Herc starts looking through he goes to his pack and starts digging through and looking at all of his belongings, and he finds that plate with Megra's face painted on it, and he turns and looks at the group and he says, "You guys mean more to me than most things, but I think I need to go home. I think I need to remember who I am again." And I would load up my things and begin my journey back to Greece.
Before he would take off, Beast would lay a hand on his shoulder and he would say, "Would the demigod accept the company of a humble prince?"
I would be honored.
Excellent. I smell a buddy cop future. It's a lovely bromance.
Bad cop.
After the fire dies down, I'd go see Goliath. He reminds me of someone. One of my ancestors, the great stone dragon. Who I would go see. Go talk to him.
Absolutely. That's awesome. DJ, man, you and I got the chance to play together once before this in Alan's Mecha Hack game for Atka Online this year. And it was awesome. It was a phenomenal game. That group of players got along so well. We had great chemistry. And whenever you posted interest in this game, I was like, hell yeah, I want a chance to run a game for this guy and see how it goes. And I'm so glad that I did. It was awesome. And Hercules also was not on my radar. It's just not one that I had thought somebody might play. And you suggested him, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's awesome. That'll be great. You know, he's a super kind of great heroics. He's going to be great at fighting. I was like, he'll be a really good fit as like a heavy in the group. And then you did the video on your channel where you kind of broke down your thoughts about why you were going to play him. And it really got me, man. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, he's forgotten who he was. He's doubting himself. So you approached it from a very fresh angle that I wasn't expecting, and you did it masterfully. I had a fantastic time watching you develop Herc's arc throughout this game. So thank you so much for all of you for really understanding and getting down to the core of who these characters kind of were and what drove them. It was really awesome. I couldn't have imagined it any better. So thank you so much. I think that's enough backslappery, as Lloyd Collins would call it. I can say that because he's never going to watch this game. This has Disney characters in it. I don't think Lloyd knows that Disney exists. I'm just picking on you, Lloyd. Love you, brother. So, anyways, I'm definitely going to run this again at some point. I have plans. Yeah. So until then, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.